South Africa is pushing back against American tech dominance, determined to level the playing field. The country's competition commission has found Google guilty of anti-competitive practices, accusing the company of favoring global news organizations while sidelining local South African media. In response, regulators have proposed a hefty annual fine of up to $27.29 million for the next 5 years, a penalty that Google has fiercely opposed. This showdown isn't just about tech. It's the latest chapter in a growing political and economic rift between South Africa and the United States. With tensions rising over issues ranging from international diplomacy to trade policies, the battle over digital media dominance has become a flashpoint in an increasingly fraught relationship. At the core of the dispute is Google's search algorithm, which South Africa's Competition Commission claims unfairly prioritizes international media over local news outlets. According to the watchdog, this imbalance has significantly harmed the country's media industry over the past 14 years, reducing traffic to South African news platforms and cutting into their advertising revenue. As a result, local publishers have struggled to compete in an increasingly digital news landscape dominated by global players. To address these concerns, the Commission has proposed a two-part solution aimed at restoring fairness. First, it recommends that Google pay South African media companies between $16 million to $27 million annually for a period of 3 to 5 years as compensation for lost revenue. Second, Google would need to modify its search algorithms to boost the visibility of local news sources, ensuring they receive a fair share of online traffic. Google has firmly denied the allegations, asserting that its platforms already provide substantial value to South African media companies. In a strongly worded statement, the tech giant emphasized that its services generated an estimated 350 million rand in referral traffic value for local publishers in 2023 alone. Additionally, Google pointed out that its ad revenue from news-related searches in South Africa was less than 19 million rand, a fraction of the fine the government is proposing. The company also highlighted its ongoing investments in products, training, and partnerships designed to support the local news industry, reaffirming its commitment to fostering a thriving digital media ecosystem. Despite Google's defense, the final decision rests with the Competition Commission, which is set to release its official report later this year. In the meantime, all stakeholders have until April 7 to submit further evidence to support their cases. However, if Google fails to comply with the Commission's recommendations, South Africa could impose a digital advertising tax of 5 to 10% on the company's operations within the country. Google is not the only tech giant feeling the heat. The Competition Commission has also targeted Meta and X, formerly Twitter, accusing them of suppressing South African news content on their platforms. Facebook and X have been accused of deprioritizing South African news media posts in some key content feeds, thereby reducing traffic to local media outlets. Meta's Facebook and YouTube must increase revenue-sharing agreements with news publishers to allow them to monetize their content more effectively. If Meta and X fail to implement these changes within 6 months of the final report, South Africa could impose a 5 to 10% levy on their digital advertising revenue. South Africa's move against American tech giants comes at a time of growing diplomatic friction between Pretoria and Washington. What initially began as a regulatory crackdown on Google, Meta, and X has now become entangled in a broader geopolitical struggle. The dispute underscores South Africa's increasing willingness to challenge U.S. influence, signaling a shift in its approach to economic and political relations with Western powers. With both trade and diplomacy at stake, this battle over digital media dominance is now part of a larger confrontation between the two nations. Tensions escalated further after U.S. President Donald Trump announced the suspension of certain aid programs to South Africa, a move widely seen as retaliation for Pretoria's recent policy decisions. Washington has strongly opposed South Africa's land reform policies, which Trump has publicly criticized, claiming they unfairly target white South African farmers. Additionally, South Africa's decision to take legal action against Israel at the International Court of Justice, accusing it of genocide in Gaza, has further strained relations with the U.S., which remains a staunch ally of Israel. These events have deepened divisions, with South Africa increasingly seen as taking a stance independent of Western influence. In response, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has attempted to strike a delicate balance. While expressing a willingness to engage in diplomatic discussions with Trump's administration, he has also taken a firm stand, rejecting accusations of discrimination against white South Africans. More importantly, Ramaphosa has sent a clear message: South Africa will not be bullied into submission. As the standoff intensifies, it remains to be seen whether negotiations will ease tensions or if further economic and political clashes will follow. There is growing speculation that Washington may escalate its response, potentially by targeting South Africa's trade privileges under the African Growth and Opportunity Act. This trade agreement, which grants duty-free access to U.S. markets for a range of South African exports, is a critical pillar of the country's economy. Losing African Growth and Opportunity Act benefits would deal a major blow to industries that rely on U.S. trade partnerships, including manufacturing, agriculture, and automotive sectors. Such a move could significantly strain South Africa's economic growth and job market. If the U.S. were to revoke South Africa's African Growth and Opportunity Act status, the impact would be severe, particularly for businesses that depend on American consumers. South African exports to the U.S. totaled billions of dollars in recent years, with key industries benefiting from tariff-free trade. A withdrawal from African Growth and Opportunity Act would not only disrupt supply chains but also weaken investor confidence in South Africa's economy. While the U.S. has not yet made an official move, the possibility of trade sanctions looms large, adding another layer of uncertainty to the already tense relations between the two nations. South Africa's crackdown on Google, Meta, and X aligns with global efforts to rein in big tech, following in the footsteps of Australia, Canada, and the European Union. In 2021, Australia introduced a groundbreaking law that forced Google and Facebook to pay local publishers for news content. Canada followed suit in 2023 with its Online News Act, compelling tech companies to compensate news outlets when their content appears on digital platforms. Meanwhile, the European Union's Digital Markets Act has introduced sweeping regulations to curb the power of U.S. tech giants and ensure fair competition in the digital space. With South Africa taking a stand against big tech, other African nations could be encouraged to follow suit, challenging the unchecked influence of American digital platforms across the continent. Your perspective matters. What do you make of South Africa finding Google? Share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the New Africa channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our informative future videos. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for watching.